Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. Tomorrow, Wednesday, sees the annual general meeting, the AGM. Peter Lawwell will stand up in front of the fans and he'll tell how great everything is at Celtic. He'll talk about the fact that we won the treble last year, which was fantastic to get that world record treble. He'll talk about the financial results. He'll talk about the fact that we're sitting with £72 million in the bank. But there is a lot of burning questions. There is a lot of things that need to be asked of the PLC, and it'll be interesting to see how Brendan Rodgers deals with that tomorrow and how the board deals with it. Obviously, there are the burning issues with the fans, and in attendance to the meeting tomorrow will be the one and only the Celtic Trust. There'll be members of the Celtic Trust in attendance. And I'm going to try and get an interview with one of them later on this afternoon, maybe on the live this evening. But they are obviously going to ask the following questions. And if you're on the live this morning, these were actually things that I hadn't checked out the Celtic Trust, but obviously we do have some alignment with the way that we look at Celtic. In the live this morning, we did talk about the ambition of directors in Europe. And if you go back to the live this morning and the live at 6 p.m, we'll talk about this also. We'll talk about the ambition of the directors in Europe. There really has to be some kind of strategy for the PLC going forward, because let's face it, we've had nearly 20 years of domination. We've had a lot of success at home, but in Europe over the last couple of years, things haven't went as planned. So there really has to be some kind of plan going forward. We've brought in a manager on a 3-year plan. So what is the 3-year plan for the club? Is there a 3 to 5 year plan for the club going forward? That's one of the questions that I think need to be asked. And obviously the Celtic Trust are going to ask the question, what is the ambition of the directors in Europe? Another one that the Celtic Trust want to ask at the Celtic AGM is about the relationship with fans. And I don't think it's just about the relationship with the Green Brigade and the boys and the ongoing thing with them. I think it's the bigger question with the relationship with fans and the things that we get charged for in the stadium, the price of food, which the quality of food isn't the best, let's say that. But that's another question that the Celtic Trust will be asking at the Celtic AGM, is the relationship with fans. And another one that the Celtic Trust will ask is the safety of fans at domestic and away grounds. And obviously in Europe, the domestic one is obviously when you look back at the Hearts fiasco. Now, Hearts away ground has always been a fiasco. It's a terrible ground to get into. But with the situation of reduced fans at away grounds at Scottish football, what is the board's take on the situation with away fans at Scottish football with reduced allocations? Is it acceptable? Is it good for the game? What do the board think about that? What do you think about that? Tell us in the comment section. And then another question that the Celtic Trust are going to ask is the club's position regarding UEFA regulations. What is the position regarding UEFA regulations? So it'll be interesting to see what the Celtic board answer to those questions at the AGM tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people talking about the Celtic AGM. Tell me your thoughts on the Celtic AGM. Tell me your thoughts on Celtic and the way forward for the club. Do you think the success that we've had over the last 20 years is enough? It's now 2023. We're 20 years since Seville. And let's face it, since Seville, we've not been that great in Europe. Going forward, we need to have a strategy going right down to recruitment, and the board will congratulate themselves. They'll congratulate themselves on the fact that they are sitting with 72 million in the bank. They're sitting with players that they brought in that they could sell on as assets. They will talk a lot about assets, as players as assets, and they'll talk about us fans as being customers. A lot of people have been asking the question also on the live this morning about the extending of the club. Now, I did play devil's advocate in that one, and the extension of the stadium. It's been said it would cost around about £100 million to put that in place. Now, it's not just that that's going to come into it, because what the club would have to think about is it's already chaos when fans are trying to drive to the ground just now, and there has to be better infrastructure around the ground, I think personally, before the club will make the stadium bigger. So tell me your thoughts on the Celtic AGM. Make sure that you join the live this evening at 6 p.m. Celtic Park time, where we'll be talking about the Celtic AGM and everything that we think might happen in that. And it's interesting, the day before the Celtic AGM, there's a meeting at Hampden today to talk about Scottish football and pyrotechnics at games. Now, you just know for a fact that that's going to be coming up tomorrow, and then we'll have Peter Lawwell and co on the front foot. The issue of pyrotechnics will be discussed at Hampden Park today. Representatives from the SPFL, the Scottish FA, the police, the Scottish Government will be in attendance. I wonder if there's anyone from Celtic going to be in attendance to that. Maybe Peter Lawwell. Legislation was introduced earlier this year that made it illegal to carry fireworks or flares into an event such as football matches. The governing bodies have admitted there is a problem. It needs to be addressed. They want to see more action from the police. It's an interesting one. It's one that divides fans. With no pyro, there's no party. Some fans will say, is it good for the game? Is it something that we need to look at? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, they're having this meeting at Hampden. The Scottish Premiership match between Dundee and the Rangers earlier on this month was halted for 18 minutes due to flares. That is dangerous. I mean, that was just unbelievable amount of flares that they had. I'm not going to get into a this and them and who's better and who's not when it comes to pyrotechnics, because that's a discussion for another day. But let's talk about the AGM, the Celtic AGM this evening, 6 o'clock Celtic Park time. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up, roll up.